Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're working with a 24-ounce Plump from Tipsy Magnolia. It's one of their prepped ones, so it's already white. I'm just going to be adding some cream color because that is part of the design that we're going to be making today. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do kind of a glitter feather swirl. It's kind of a take on an old design that I did a while back. And this is how I would recreate it now with the colors and materials that I have available to me. I'm going to start with this cream color spray paint. I don't remember what it's called. It's from Rustoleum. I'm going to have all the colors that you see in this video listed and linked down below in the description box. After I did my main swirl color with that cream, I'm going to go in with this blue from ColorShot. Next is this pretty yellow called Emoji, also from ColorShot, and this is going to be my second largest swirl of our design here. Next we'll add in some orange as kind of some accent lines. I'm also going to add in this fuchsia color for some more accent lines. And if at any time I go overboard with any of the colors, I'll just go over it with the other color to correct it. Obviously, you don't want to pile on too much paint. You'll notice that I'm spraying from pretty far away in really quick dashes of sprays. Once this is dry, we're ready to move on to our next step. We're going to first be creating a glitter swirl, and I'm going to be using my Fast Cure Epoxy as our adhesive today for the glitter. I've mixed about 5 milliliters, and I'm going to apply that in a very thin but completely even coat all the way around my cup. Starting with Glowstick from Peachy Olive Glitters, I want to very lightly go through that ivory cream color part of our swirl. I'm not going to be adding too much glitter yet. We're setting like a rough draft for our swirl. We can always add more, we just can't take away. So while we're trying to blend, we're going to just very lightly sprinkle on the colors. For the orange, I'm using Gryffindor 2.0, also from Peachy Olive Glitters. And again, just really lightly sprinkling it on. We're using St. Jude for this yellow. I'm really sorry because I go way out of frame for this whole glittering process. But the blue I'm using is Earmuffs, also from Peachy Olive Glitters. And still just really lightly sprinkling everything on until I'm happy with the placement. Finally, I'll be using Alexandrite for that beautiful fuchsia accent color. And then from there, it's just a matter of layering up the colors until I get good coverage and we don't see any more of that painted tumbler underneath. We want to end up seeing just that beautiful even texture of the glitter once we're done. And it's okay if all the colors aren't very well blended. We're going to be adding decals and colorants later on. Once we're done, I'm going to aggressively tap off the excess, and I'm going to let this dry for at least 2 hours before we move on to the next step. Your dry time may vary based on the brand and type of epoxy that you're using. Once my glitter was fully dry and I had aggressively tapped off the excess again, I spray sealed it with Rustoleum 2x clear gloss spray paint, and I just did one pretty generous coat, and I let that dry for about 30 minutes before I moved on to this first coat of epoxy. For my first coat, I am using 30 milliliters of Artist Cure, only because I'm not in a hurry on this one. It gave me a nice, good, even coat, but not too thick. After I applied it, I did hit it with my torch to pop any bubbles, and I'm going to let this dry for about 10 to 12 hours before we move on to the next step. Again, your dry time will vary based on the brand and type of epoxy that you use. This is the coverage that we got with one coat of epoxy. Now we're ready to put on these UV DTFs and our colorants. You can find these UV DTFs on my website. I believe they're currently sold out, but they will be restocking very soon. I have them in 3 different colorways. And the UV DTFs are super simple to put on. We're just going to peel off that clear transfer sheet and place our decal on our cup wherever we want it. We're going to press down really, really firmly until it is fully adhered to the cup, and then we'll pull off that sticky carrier sheet very carefully, making sure to double check that that decal is fully adhered to the cup before we pull up. I'm going to repeat that with all these different feathers around the full swirl of my cup, kind of placing them where I want. This was such a fun process. We should end up with something that looks like this. And now I'm ready to move on to my colorant layer. I've mixed 60 milliliters of epoxy. I'm probably not going to use all of it though. I am using my Artist Cure formula for this step because I want to give myself plenty of work time. I am applying about 20 milliliters of that epoxy to the cup now with no colorants, just a nice clear even coat. I'm going to hit that with my torch to pop any bubbles, and we're going to let that even out while we're mixing our colorants into our remaining bits of epoxy, which I've divided into 3 different other medicine cups. The colorants that I'm using, I will have listed and linked down below in the description box. This beautiful like pink coral, I don't know, not coral. It's like a pink fuchsia red. I don't know. It's very pretty. It's called Cora. It's from Simply Sarah's Custom Creations, and I absolutely love it. And I'm just applying it with a popsicle stick, just really kind of gently whispering it through those feathers, not glopping it on. Very, very modest with this. Then I'm going to go in with this beautiful color called Lotus. You guys, with each colorant, I mixed less than a pea-sized amount, okay? And same thing with Lotus. I'm going to weave that in through that Cora color very gently, not too crazy, and I want it to go in line kind of with those feathers, weaving in and out of them to make it look more of an, I don't know, like a organic part of the design. Finally, I'm going in with Hepburn using this fine point silicone brush tool, and I'm really being extra careful with this. We don't want to add too much because it will easily overtake the design. So I'm just veining in very small amounts throughout our swirl here. Once I'm happy with the placement of all my colorants, I'm going to go in with my tapered nozzle heat gun, and I'm just going to kind of move them around very quickly. I've got the motor for my turner off just so I can kind of stop where I need it and direct that air where I want it to go to manipulate those colors to create something really beautiful. I absolutely love how that rose gold mica plays with the other 2 colors when we add the heat. Very pretty. If anything gets too gloopy or gloppy, just scoop it out with a gloved finger. It's okay. And next, we're going to really gild the lily with some chunky glitter. This is Contour from Peachy Olive Glitters. It's a chunky copper that I absolutely love, and I'm just very lightly sprinkling that along the feathers of our swirl and the colorants. I'm going to let this dry for about 8 to 10 hours before we move on to the next step. I wanted to add the quote, "Hope is the feather that reminds us we have wings." So I cut this out with my Cricut. This is the textured metallic copper vinyl from Tech Wrap Craft. I will link it down below in the description box. And the font I used was Notera, and I was just careful to size my wording to where it would match the width of my swirl. I used like a ruler to measure around my cup in a swirl pattern to see how many inches I had to work with, and that's how I knew how to size my wording in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to apply my decal like I normally would using the hinge method in lines all the way around the swirl. So we're just going to go a few words at a time. Don't try and do the whole thing at once. And it wasn't all that bad. It took me about 20 minutes. Okay. And you can't really read it with all of the colorants and stuff. I know that. But as my friend Julie Rose would say, not every cup has to be an eye exam. It's okay if it's not totally obvious when you first glance at it. I just like that the quote is there if you were to pick it up and really look at it. Okay, whatever. Next, I'm going to sign the bottom, of course, and now we're ready for final coats. I also forgot to mention that I did sand the rim before we added in those decals, okay? This cup took 2 final coats before it was completely done, and that was it for this one. I absolutely love this design. I picked a lot of UV DTF artwork that I think would work with this type of swirl. So I've got fall leaves, I've got fairies, I've got dragons, all kinds of fun stuff coming, plus what we already have. So I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every week, most of the time when I can. Thanks guys, see you next time. And a big thank you to all of our Flynn Sisters exclusive members. Thank you for your pledge. Your support means the world to our channel. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.